is asking people questions like what does black mean? What does white mean? Um, what are the benefits and drawbacks of being black, of being white, of being some other race? And just having people actually write down the answers to those questions is very revealing. And I think that is a good avenue into the reflection that you want to ask people to do.
That's a decent idea. I like that one slightly less because I feel like the answers to those questions, they would be all over the map. And so,
exactly.
yeah.
But that's
yeah, it
but
could be
that's
illustrative of the reality. Yes, I get what you're saying. Like it could illustrate by seeing that the BS of nature of race and racial categories and racial hierarchy. But I think that that would be harder for people to accept. Actually, this is just my prognostication only based on my experience, but I feel like um, I feel like that's almost akin to telling people, "Look how stupid you were." You know, even though that wasn't your intention, you know, like people respond to that sometimes that way unless you do it with a little bit more care.
yeah,
I think you could do that with care, but it would just, I think I would fail. You know, like I'm imagining myself trying to do it and I'm like, I could just see it not working. Maybe you could pull that off. I don't know. I definitely can't, but yeah, I do think it's a good idea. I do think it would work for the right person, but not me. And that person is
yeah.
not me.
I've asked people to do it, and they just don't. They say I give them a list of questions, and even when they say yeah, sure, I'll take it, I'll answer, I'll get back to you in a couple of days. They just don't do it. So
So, you know, one
it
thing
does.
that I'm working on, Ben, is actually very similar to what you're saying, which is I'm doing a survey called Accidental Racist. Okay. And I'm framing it that way because, you know, a lot of people have given me feedback saying, oh, like that softens the blow, you know, like that makes it seem like you're not really accusing me. You're saying like, oh, like it's not, I'm not culpable, you know, but so it still gives me some curiosity. So, you know, so I'm putting that out there just to let you know that I am thinking about these things. Okay. Like, and making conscious decisions based on, allowing people fluid entry into this work. But I'm just going to have a bunch of different survey questions that basically implicate people's biases, right? And people's mythology and people's narratives that they may have held on to. But I want to do it in a way that like kind of, you know, those surveys where you're like, oh, 0, 1, 2, or 3, you know, strongly agree or whatever. And then you add up all the points. And if you have a certain score, then it means this, a certain score means that, whatever. So I want to do a similar kind of thing for, you know, how indoctrinated people have become into white supremacist mythology, right? I won't say it that way probably, but you know, that is the basis of it. But ultimately, I think the reason why that on a one-on-one basis is more impactful than in a group is because in the group, then you have to explain that all of these different things are both valid and wrong. And I think that that is just like a very difficult task to accomplish in a group. I think as an individual where you're saying, hey, like, look at these answers you gave. Here are the true answers. And these are factual questions, right? So you are, I want you to consider the possibility of what your life would be like if the factual foundation on which you made your ideas about race was actually true, right? What would your thoughts be? How would your actions change? How would your life change? Would you interact with people the same way? Would you wonder the same things? You know, like just get them speculating on what it would mean if you change that and to give them an opportunity, a throughway entry point into here's a chance for you to find out, right? To engage in a process of reflection, education, reflection, and decision making that will allow you to actually not just imagine that, but live it, right?
I think like there aren't. Well, I don't know what facts you're referring to, but I think there aren't factual answers to what is white and what is black. Like
Factual answers like, here's a quote. Who said this quote? That's a factual answer. So if someone's choosing someone who said the certain quote based on the racialization of that quote or the racial tone of that quote, right? And they're imagining who might have said that based on that. That is what I mean, right? If you choose the wrong person, it'll start you can reflect on why you chose that person, why you thought it was them who said it, why you ruled out other people, right? It's just a way of testing your own thought process and why you are thinking certain things, right? In the race context.
Maybe. I mean, there's that Harvard implicit bias test, right? It's like
Yeah, but that has a different purpose. But yeah.
Yeah. But I would think that both of these ideas, they show people that there's something going on. It doesn't
exactly
point to why. It doesn't point to why, though.
Yes, and that is the only purpose of it, is to show people that something is going on. The why comes hopefully when they, sit down, when they make a conscious decision, you know what, I'm going to figure out why. And then they purchase a seminar, right? That is
That's why I want to ask people, what does white mean to you? Or what are your stereotypes for white and for black? And the fact that people will write different things. And I think they could even speculate, okay, look at your answers. Do you think somebody else should write this? Would you have written this 10 years ago? Would your father have written this? And that is also a wake up, like, oh, this stuff isn't true. It's totally subjective. And it also is informing the way I'm living my life, because it's coming from me and from my life.
You're right. And I think that's a totally legitimate way of displaying it and walking people through it. Yeah, it could be messy.
People feel pretty unsafe.
It could be messy. Yeah. All I'm saying is it could be messy.
Totally. And that's what I want to like get collaborators. So like how to create a container that's safe to answer those questions.
Yeah. I think a lot of times safety is based on how people are perceiving the person who's like running it. I know a lot of people have communicated to me that the reason why they felt safe was because of me, and they directly tell me that, like, you created that environment of safety and I noticed that and I recognize that. So, I think that as long as we're cognizant of intentionally creating that environment, then probably that goes far enough.
Yeah. Context setting, like, why are we here? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, so important to be upfront about it. And just, that's why when we were initially talking, I made sure to be like, I was ignorant, I am ignorant, I'm still learning, and I don't ever want to stand in front of a group of people pretending like I know it all, or that somehow I've reached some kind of peak of a mountaintop or something, and they're only good enough to follow. No. We're all on a plane, right? And I am just showing you the area of the plane that I have discovered, and I want you to come over with me, and that's it, So if I can create that vibe, I think that goes a long way into creating safety for people. And also just not shaming and blaming people. You know what I mean? I don't even think about blame or shame when I'm having these conversations on race. Like, the thoughts underneath those categories do not arise. And despite that, people oftentimes respond as if I am shaming them, as if I am blaming them, right? And I have to constantly interrupt that and be like, hey, like, did I do that? And then have them sit there and think about it and realize that, no, that didn't happen. And then, so yeah, just like working your way through that. I mean, last week, bro, I talked to 3 different people in one night where I had to stop the conversation and remind them that they're talking to me. I had to literally tell them, hey, like, we're actually talking, like, you're saying stuff, I'm saying stuff, we're communicating, So like right now, like, you're talking at me, and I literally had to have that conversation explicitly with 3 different people in one night. And they all dealt with it really well. Why? Because they knew I wasn't shaming or blaming. I was approaching it from the fact that, like, I want to communicate with you, but it's not happening. Okay. Like, can we make that happen? Because that would be great. That would be awesome. And then when it does happen, the difference between that exchange and what we were doing before becomes so, it just stands out the same way, right? When you were like, if people write the answers to all these questions, it'll stand out that we all wrote different things, meaning different stuff, right? And that is what triggers that realization. I had people realizing that I was a human they were talking to, and that's the kind of nitty gritty work that we need to do if we're going to be successful at transforming this into a place where race does not hold as much sway as it does. But talking to you tonight, Ben, I feel very confident that we are going to be able to create something very effective at doing that. And I'm really looking forward to working together with you and figuring out exactly what that looks like down to the letter. I have a lot of ideas. You've given me some more tonight, and I just want to express my gratitude for you sharing those with me. Thank you.
Yeah. 2 generations. Let's go.
All right, listen, bro. I'm down for one. Okay, listen. I'm down to push it to whatever we want. I just try to stay realistic as much as I can. I have been in the past prone to delusions of grandeur, which I've given up. So I try to be pragmatic these days. But yes, if we can manage 2 generations, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I got your back. Thanks for watching. For access to the full-length conversation and all of the 2-hour-long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support, and see you next time.